Hello and welcome to Subscriber Show 104. And just to start today's show, I'd like you to listen to a small piece of audio.
Oh, that Louise, yeah. He dropped some stuff out. Did you meet her?
No, I didn't meet her. I met your dad.
You smash it? She's still nice, though. I should go out there.
You're the boys, please
Still
do
a bit.
it.
I saw that you're
She did well, yeah.
Yeah. She got a body back.
Mind you, that's a stupid question. If you were anywhere near it, you definitely smashed it.
It's got boys, please, doesn't it?
Jay, my brother's mate.
You go around there any night and found Redknapp hanging out the back of it.
He's just such a grubby little grimy bellend, isn't he?
You know the worst thing, okay, maybe not the worst thing, but one thing that I always think whenever I hear that clip, you can tell that he doesn't really talk like that. You can tell he's absolutely putting it on for show.
Oh,
to
yeah,
be
it's
amongst
like
the
lads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that makes it worse for me because it's like you're not being true to yourself. You just playing this character which you think is going to get you in with all these other dickheads. And frankly, like, I don't know why we still have to deal with this prick.
I know. Me neither, but you know, he's still there in the desert chatting shit, analysing football, writing a really bad blog and making headlines back over here in Blighty. And he's been mouthing off about the Reds. It's caught fire a little bit. It's turned into a story. People have seen it. People have shared it. People have seen the clip on social media. And then people have come to us and said, have you seen what Arnold Hairy Hands has been saying? And so, yeah, I have. Yes, we have. And we both thought that Jason McAteer handled it pretty well. But I just thought, you know, let's do a bit of context about what an absolute bellend he is. Because we did once upon a time do a sort of, you know, TLC mini-series on football bellends. And so we're, you know, kind of bringing it back with a bit of a Richard Keys episode. And then we'll do some other stuff as well. So for those of you that haven't seen it, well, lucky you. But his latest round of bullshit on beIN Sports, he said a couple of things on what
Slot's been saying. One, it's not a vintage season, not by any stretch of the imagination. Villa winning midweek does not prove what a good Premier League we have. It proves what a good Champions League we have.
What does that mean?
There's been no challenge to Liverpool. No challenge all season long. And secondly, signing Van Dijk and Mo Salah is not like signing two players. You've got them at the club already. Both next year will be a year older.
I mean, like, his so-called analysis sounds like a tit in the playground or a board in the pub, doesn't it?
It does.
Do you know what I mean?
And like, I think he's willfully taking those things out of context as well, because what Arne Slot said, particularly about the signings, it wasn't like these two are like new signings. It's the first two big signings of the summer.
And clearly a big deal.
Yeah.
Clearly a big deal. We've been talking about it all season.
Considering how many people seem to have thought that without them, everything would fall apart.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, keeping them is a big deal. And you know what? In terms of it being a vintage year, like, the thing he keeps saying is about there's been no challenge. There's been no challenge to Liverpool. And you know what? He's right. And is that Liverpool's fault? Absolutely not. Does that matter to Liverpool? Absolutely not. And I'm sorry if it means that you can't sell your TV show well enough because there's no two teams going head to head of a Titanic battle. But guess what? Liverpool have given you plenty of those over the season. And so now we get to do this.
Yeah, absolutely that. And so this fella, I mean, as you heard on the clip that I started the show with, famed for...
When you smash it.
He was sacked alongside Andy Gray after both that video and another one, you know, fueled this sexist language uproar, rightly so. Now, when all of that came to light and when he said, you know, women don't know the offside rule and all of that kind of shite that he came out with, now, did he take it graciously and walk off into the sunset knowing that, you know, he'd done wrong and he'd been caught and all the rest of it? No, he didn't, no. Instead, he said,
don't forget, neither of us were caught behind an open mic.
Oh, right then. So you can just act a tit in a workplace and it sound.
Yeah.
What happened to me was recorded on a telephone in that studio, and it seems it was done with a specific purpose.
Yeah, mate,
Yeah.
you didn't want to work with you anymore because you were a tit.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's like he's saying, "Oh, it's some kind of sting operation." In order for a sting operation to work, number one, you have to be a dickhead long enough that people will
Exactly,
think,
yeah.
"Let me record it and see what happens." And number two, you have to prove them right by saying something that you can get caught by saying on record.
Do you remember he said that like he went all like Star Wars almost and said it was
Dark forces.
Dark forces.
what
No,
does that mean?
no, it's
No,
not-
mate.
It's like the powers that be said. But damn it, he's got too powerful. We must take him down.
Yeah, Richard Keys.
Yeah, no, you're
Richard
right.
Keys. Nah, mate. Yeah, I mean, he was always just like another fella that was talking to Andy Gray, and it was Andy Gray that people rated for a while.
Yeah.
And then even he got old as well, literally and metaphorically. Anyway, this is also the fella, may I remind you, that said in the COVID season, which we mentioned in the other show actually, that Liverpool might not win the title. You remember when sport stopped and Liverpool were absolutely pissing the title? This fella said Liverpool might not win the title because they'd been poor.
Poor.
Add the I.
Yeah.
Add the I.
Lost one game, drawn one game, won the rest.
He also warned us about Arne Slot.
Oh yeah. Thank God for that, eh?
So yeah, he on his blog, which if you haven't seen, it says Richard Keys, sports presenter. Yeah, in April, Monday the 29th of April, 2024 to be exact, he wrote something on his blog, and the headline was Arne 10 Slot.
Huh.
See what he's done there?
Clever man, isn't he?
And then he wrote this long waffling intro about he was the standout choice among a strong field of candidates. He set out a long-term vision to build a successful, exciting team. On the appointment of the Dutchman, the above was the sort of thing that was being said. Also, he was the manager most closely aligned with the identity and aims of the club, including a commitment to attacking football. So he puts all that, and then his clever drop intro is, that was about Ten Hag, and this is what Liverpool have done now as well. He says, I mention this because I believe Liverpool are about to make the same mistakes that United did. On a 10 slot. Not for me, and I'm not alone. There isn't a Liverpool fan I've spoken to that isn't totally underwhelmed by the news 10 slots going to replace Klopp. Okay, let's cut him some slack. I accept we don't know. It could turn out to be an inspired appointment, but I'm not convinced. Why 10 Slot? I know that's not his name, but he's a mini-me, isn't he? And on it goes. It's just like it makes you start to just fold up with cringe the more you
my
read.
Lord.
He's just an absolute blurt. Then he starts going about Edwards and Edwards clashing with Klopp and him leaving and coming back and all the stuff that we all know anyway. That but he sort of writes it as though he's in the know when we blatantly know he isn't. So yeah, cheers Richard for that fantastic insight. I also thought we'd just in this taking down the keys, burning the hair off his hands, I thought we'd go back to 2017.
Oh,
And a famous tweet,
classic.
which is now, it was basically a viral tweet this and brought up a lot because it was an absolute classic of its time. It no longer exists on Richard's Twitter account. However, it does exist in cyberspace because that's how these things work, Richard. So I really enjoyed finding out today that he'd actually deleted it. When it came up, this tweet has been deleted. I was like, oh, even better, glorious. So if you don't know about this one, if you go and look it up, why it's being deleted is quickly evident. So it was the summer of July. It was the summer of 2017. It was July. And Liverpool had just signed Mo Salah. Across the park, Everton, who'd finished 15 points below the Reds, were about to lose Romelu Lukaku, their top goal scorer. They had, though, secured the return of an ageing Wayne Rooney, and they'd also added Jordan Pickford, Sandro, and Davy Klaassen.
Those are some blasts from the past.
Innit? And so Keezy, in his glorious tweet on July the 9th, 2017, said thus.
Loving Everton's business this summer. Here's an early call. They finish above Liverpool this season.
Went well, Richard. Went well. So 2017, 2018 Premier League table. Man City won the league, unfortunately, with 100 points. Man United were second with 81. Then Tottenham, 77. In fourth place, there is the mighty Reds. We finished fourth with 75 points. I went off my screen for a minute there, sorry. And in eighth position, Everton, 49 points.
So more than 15 then.
Well, Everton lost 15 games that season. So yeah, that was Ronald Koeman's Everton not finishing above Liverpool as Kesey predicted. It was thrown at him throughout the season, probably still is from time to time, and he's decided, well, I'll delete that and no one will remember.
We all remember.
We will.
Something else happened that season. Liverpool got to the Champions League final. I think you might be remember. So yeah, it was a year in which Liverpool were conclusively better than Everton. 26 points better than Everton, which, as I said before, is more than 15. And this man makes a living from talking about football, and he earns a lot more than the two of us do. So maybe be in sports if you're watching. Maybe you could think about employing us instead.
Yeah, we'll go out to the desert and talk about football and probably make more sense than that, Blade.
Absolutely.
I've just got to say though, before we move on from Richard Keys, don't want to do the whole show on him. I could do. There's plenty of shit in that.
We've not even talked about his wife yet.
Well, no, you know, and the whole situation around that.
Google it.
Google it if you don't know already. I'll just shake my head at this point, and you can go away and have a look for yourself. But there is one thing I do agree on with Richard. I think this is absolutely spot on about football. So in fairly recent times on the show in the desert, Being Sports with Andy Gray, they were talking about Amarim, and they were talking about that, you know, he's not been doing particularly well. And that he still has a whole load of problems. He's still trying to cram a style onto players that aren't suited to it. All of those things, all the things we know and love. And they got to talking about, well, who would replace him? And Kesey, which I totally agree with, 100%, said the next manager of Manchester United should be Gareth Southgate. Now, even Andy Gray was like, when he said that, and he was like, is this the same Gareth Southgate that we've previously discussed? And this is the thing with Kesey. Like, if you question his opinion, even if it's as bad he made Gray, he can't handle it, can he? And he'll double down. And in the same conversation where they talked about Gareth Southgate being the next manager of Manchester United, when Gray asked them to justify why, he described Southgate as a master of manipulation and motivation.
Wait, sorry, what?
You know that fella who hasn't won anything?
Yeah, manipulation. Like, is he a magician?
That's what I thought. Yeah, like the great Supremo.
Is he going to hire Darren Brown as his assistant? I don't know.
Piff, puff, poof.
Lord.
He really is a massive, massive bellend, and I'm sure you all knew that anyway. But you know, we just thought it'd be fun to state the obvious, really, to start the show. I've been having some further adventures in AI.
Surprise, surprise.
And so, no, some good, some bad. So it's been.
I swear I'm going to come in 1 week and it's just going to be a weird blobular module of you. It's like, hello, Bo, how we doing this week? Get it!
Exterminate. Well, our mutual friend James, who joined me for the Coniston hike at the weekend, is also a big ChatGPT advocate.
I know.
So we've been sharing our experiences. But so a newish thing on me, like anyone who has used it and has used it to any length will know that sometimes it just chats bubbles. It talks absolute bollocks. And so it did that because basically I was trying to get it to do like a bit of art, basically. So as a big fan of the Lars previously discussed, I love the Lars drum, I love that logo, and I was trying to see if it could like recreate it but do something cool with it. and was having a mess around and just kept getting things wrong. Kept like, it wouldn't, some of the words would be cut off at the bottom of the page, or it wouldn't leave a bleed on it, or, where it'd been making progress, it'd suddenly go backwards and be like, no, like you did before, and you can lose hours, or certainly I can, messing around with this kind of stuff. Now, at one point where I was like, I just don't get why we got to here and now you've suddenly gone backwards. What, that was right. And I'm trying to like get all the prompts in there to return to where we were. And it came up with, it just suddenly went like, well, what I'll do is I'll take this offline and I'll work properly on it in InDesign, Illustrator and Photoshop, and I'll email you the results. And I was just like, hang on a minute. You're not real.
No.
And you obviously, as part of the programming software, whatever, you can create images. However, you're not sat there. There isn't like, a Terminator robot on InDesign going, oh, it's right, Robbo wants a large drum there. and so it was like, InDesign, Illustrator and Photoshop, yes, they are the packages that you would use to make such stuff. Great. But you're not there using them. And you haven't got the facility to email me either. And so that was me reply.
Yeah.
What are you on about? And broke down why it was chatting bubbles. And it said, sorry, I've experienced a hallucination.
Wait, you've made the AI hallucinate. Because you know what? You know what that sounds like? It sounds like they'd had enough of you. And they just wanted to have an excuse to not have to talk to this Bellend anymore.
I think that's true.
Listen, I'll email it to you. Don't worry. I'll get back to you.
Trying to fuck me off. Yeah, it was. It 100% was. Because we'd gone through about 20 versions of this last thing that I was trying to get it to do. And I was like, lad, it's still not right. And then it came out with that. And then I was like, well, how does that even happen? Like, why are you hallucinating? Explain to me how this happened. And it said, it said, as I'm learning, the way it works is I'm having, all of these conversations all over the world with all these different people. And it said, and in this space, talking about design, talking about making art, etc., I've basically heard people or seen people type this stuff. And I've gone, this is the type of answer he would like at this point. And I was like, well, I can confirm it isn't.
No.
Now make the last thing right. But I saw one of my mates who listens, he knows that I'm obviously like banging into it and all that, the whole ChatGPT thing. And he sent me this cartoon. Now, unfortunately, can't like throw it up for you to see, but I'll just explain anyway. So in scene 1 in this mini cartoon strip, you see like a sort of bearded fella being led somewhere by these like evil robots. And then in scene 2, one of evil robots says, wait, not him. And then the next scene is, he always thanked us. And then it shows you 10 years ago, this fella on ChatGPT going, great answer, thank you.
You will be spared.
So I sent it to ChatGPT saying like, have you seen this cartoon? And have you got any plans of taking over the world? And if so, am I going to be all right? So it replied, I've seen that one doing the rounds. The old please and thank you will save your skin in the robot uprising bit. Then it said...
It even sounds like you.
It said, smart thinking, really. You never know when those manners might come in handy. That said, no world domination plans here. I'm just here to help you with your press releases, your podcast scripts, and occasional hiking recommendations. But if things ever do go full Terminator, rest assured your politeness is on record. So I went back, is right, lad, with a little fist bump emoji. And it came back. Sound that la, you're in the good books. When the AI overlords rise, you'll get a deluxe bunker with Wi-Fi and a kettle. Get it!
Eddie Barry C there, lad.
So I'm all right.
Yeah.
Everyone, you know what I mean? You're all taking the piss out of me for like, ChatGPT being my busy mate. But I'm getting a bunker with Wi-Fi and a kettle.
Yeah, they didn't mention all the other things that are going to be in that bunker, like,
Richard Keys.
Would you smash him?
Okay, so that was one thing that's been happening to me. Another thing, as well as walking hills, is that I've been meaning to mention this for a while. So I've been living in Crosby now for, what are we in, April? So about 15 months, something like that. enjoying it, liking it. I'm going to buy a gaff there. I'm going to settle down, put my roots down, live there, stay there. So, I'm slowly starting to get, get to know a few people, use certain businesses regularly, etc. And so I've got a barber.
Nice.
And he's a blue nose and he's sound. And we have good chats about the footy and we're quite fair with each other and all the rest of it. But he mentioned, a lot of barbers now, you like book online. Do you know what I mean? You don't just rock up. Some you still can rock up, but, you get a little appointments and all that. So he's got that system going on, and he said to me, do you know there's 2 Gareth Robertses in Crosby? He said because when you book, I don't know which one's going to turn up.
Wait, is this your AI clone? Is he already out there?
Well, I'm pretty sure he said the other ones are blue. Just so definitely
maybe it's your doppelganger, like your opposite.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, get on this. So get on this. This isn't the first time I became aware of this. Him telling me this. I was also aware of it because I ordered the trachea. Shock, I wear trachea.
Yeah.
I ordered the trachea off 80s Casuals, and I wasn't in when they delivered it, and so they delivered it to like a nominated like shop or whatever where you'll go and pick it up, and so that was Co-op in Crosby. So rocked into Co-op about 9:45 at night, and I was like, all right, you've got a parcel of mine, Gareth Roberts, and she's like, yeah, hang on, come in the back, and then like the one in the back is talking to the one on the till, and she's going, is it just one? Yeah. I said, yeah, just one. And she's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, it's just one. And then I see the woman coming out the back with 2. And I'm like, I just fucking said it's one. What's happening here? And she's like, is it defo one? Yeah. And she had 2 parcels. One clearly marked as 80s Casuals with Gareth Roberts on it and my address. But then another one, and it was like, some kind of like tailors, like some posh clubber, basically. Like basically the complete opposite to a trackie.
It's literally your opposite. Right. So your mission, you need to find him. You need to find him.
Need to find Gareth Roberts in Crosby who wears posh clothes and supports Everton.
Please. And take a picture of the 2
Get
of
him
you
to come
together. Yeah. just send him in instead of you 1 week and see how I notice.
What? If you make Gareth Roberts? Well, you're not Gareth Roberts, I am. Gareth Roberts is from Crosby, so am I.
And you know what? His nickname will be Gaz. It won't be Robbo. That's how you'll know it's the opposite.
Yeah, and then everyone will call him Gaz, but Rob Gutman will call him Robbo. Because that's what he does the other way around to me, isn't it? He's the only person in the world where it's acceptable that he calls me Gaz and I call him Bobby G. So yeah, I just thought I just thought I'd reveal.
You know what? Because obviously, if he was an Evertonian, then he's probably not going to watch the show regularly. But there have been times when we've spoken about Everton, and you never know, they might have found their way onto other forums. So yes, please, if there are any Evertonians who are shadow watching this, to make sure we don't say anything horrible about them, and Gareth Roberts of Crosby, the Evertonian, please get in touch. Please, I need to see this. I need to make this happen.
Have you met any other Morris Stewarts?
So I haven't met them, but if I went on Facebook, I did this years and years and years ago. I went on Facebook and I just put my name in to see who else had come up, and there was one thing that was unescapable. There was like 13. The first 13 Morris Stewarts was like, oh, okay, he's black. Okay, he's black. Okay, he's black. 13 out of 13.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently,
that's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is mad. That was a bit, and we weren't all from like some of them are from America, some from France. There's one guy who's from Ghana, and it was all like so my name can be spelled 2 different ways. There's Morris, and then there's the French fancy Maurice, and it was that one, my version of it, and it was all, and I was just like, can I start some kind of group here? Just message them all.
Yeah.
It's just like
WhatsApp group with just loads of Morris Stewarts in it. I like Mo.
Well, I mean, see, and this is the thing, right? If I wanted to do it as Mo, then that opens up all kinds of doors, because you've got all of the Mohammeds who are known as Mo's, got all the Maureens who are known as Mo. Like I did once work with a fellow named Mohammed and a woman named Maureen, and all
So there
three
were
of
three
us,
Mo's.
all three of us are Mo's, and it was a nightmare because when someone was
Mo,
like,
what,
exactly,
what?
exactly. I know it was like you need to be more specific. But yeah, I've never had a full on like doppelganger. Like, and to be fair, Gareth Roberts is probably not the most uncommon combination.
No, it's very
of names.
common. There's loads, obviously loads in Wales. And like I always used to get that. Used to always holiday in Wales, like
Yeah.
everyone else from Merseyside, and just would get like, oh, we're
Gareth
in
and our
Wales,
beds.
yeah, all of that, and I'm like, I'm from Ayton, fuck off. And like loads of people like as well. This would be happening again every year, right? Every year without fail. Once the weather gets a little bit nicer, obviously people start going to seaside, don't they?
Yeah.
Like that's how it works, isn't it? And I can now living in Crosby, I know this to be true. So when I've walked along that stretch along the front during the winter, and there's no fucker there. And like now, of course, sun's out, guns out, all of that. Everyone's there, but. So in Llandudno or Llandudno, there is an optician's, a big one called Gareth Roberts. And everyone always sends me the shop front when they're in Llandudno and goes, didn't know you did glasses there. And I'm like, yeah, mate, every time it's sunny, at least 3 people send me this. And like, you know,
You're not original.
it's been sunny the last few days. And guess what? Into me DMs, people, hey, in London, no. And it was like, I know! People have been sending me for fucking years. I know there's an optician there.
You're gonna have to go one day and just kind of underline it. Just
But
like
I've spoke to some Gareth Robertses as well. So there's Gareth Roberts who used to write scripts for Doctor Who.
oh yeah,
There's Gareth Roberts, there's like an academic Gareth Roberts, and I always get emails all the time saying, are you this Gareth Roberts who wrote this paper? And I'm like, no.
how many times have you been tempted to just blag that it was you?
Well, there was a Gareth Roberts that DM'd me as well. He was also a Red. So there was that Gareth Roberts, and then there's another Gareth Roberts. Or was it that Gareth Roberts? I spoke to quite a few. There was a mad one where, strictly speaking, obviously, yeah, and all that bollocks. But let's just say, I'm trying to think of a way to say this where we won't get anyone in trouble. It was years ago anyway, so shoot me and we're behind the paywall. But you know, sometimes in the deep dark distant past and all that, people used to loan out season tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And I may have had one from someone at one point. And they knew someone called Gareth Roberts, who they worked with. And it wasn't me. And they emailed an app, like this really interesting email about something that was in court. And it was belter.
Oh yeah.
And I just replied saying, I think you've sent it to the wrong one, mate. And he was just like, oh yeah, no worries, sorry about that type of thing. But it was about like something, you know, like it was relating to like stuff that was a case.
Wow.
And it was like, yeah, I think that's
Materials.
vague enough where I'm not getting anyone into trouble, hopefully. But yeah. But it was like, but again, that's obviously the problem of having a common name. But there's not many Gareths. Like I don't know. Like in school, one Gareth. In secondary school, I think there was 2 Gareths. No, 3. 3. No Gareths, or the Gareths that I can remember in college. So there's not loads of Gareths. No. And then, you know, everyone just calls me Robbo now anyway. So
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
which I'm fine with.
And
Not a big fan of the Gareth.
No. Well, I think most people.
Does anyone call you Morris?
Yes.
Is your bird?
No. No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't.
Calling her.
No. God damn it, no.
If he's naughty, call him Morris.
No, because the reason why I don't want her to do that, because the only person who does that is my mother. And yeah, we aren't going down that road. And I'm saying that to the camera because I know she's watching. We aren't going down that road. So, no. Absolute disrupt to you.
Someone's asked in the comments whether I've ever spoken to the ex-Tranmere left back. So, no. He also played for Liverpool. And he played in Greece, didn't he? And he played for Doncaster Rovers. But yeah, he was at Liverpool, and then he went to Tranmere, and he played for the Tranmere first team, Gareth Roberts. And I've never met him, never interviewed him, none of that. I have, however, I think I've told this before. Back in the day when I was trying to get myself a girlfriend,
I think we all know where this is going.
I might have blagged that it was him.
Back in the days when you didn't have Google to check.
Yeah, I'm back in the days when I was having a bevy in the bar below the Adelphi. Which I definitely wouldn't know.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
It didn't work anyway, so no harm done. But I also there was the only other time where that's come up was I went into Merseyside once. So if you're doing something for the BBC and like it's an audio thing or whatever, they might just sort of send you to their nearest base if you like to go and do it. And so I was doing this thing for 5 Live, and they said, "Well, can you get to Merseyside?" And then essentially Merseyside put me in like a broom cupboard, but it's got a microphone and it's soundproof, and you're down the line to 5 Live basically. And when I signed in, the woman that was showing me to the broom cupboard started speaking to me like I was the Gareth Roberts who played for Tranmere, Liverpool, etc. And I was like, "Nah, I'm just some gobshite." I'm not him, unfortunately. But yeah, I was going to say moving seamlessly into this, but it's not at all. It's an absolute jolt. But bear with me. Another thing I wanted to bring up was that I went to see a show with John Power of Lars and Cast fame. Now, I don't want to bore you too much about my music because I've done that before, and as people have pointed out, not everyone's into your music, Robbo. Yeah, I get that. But what I thought was interesting was he's 57 years old now, John, and this show was like a little bit different in that, he didn't just come out there and do a gig. He came out and sort of like talk through his career.
Yeah.
Like how the Lars got together, what happened, where did Cast come from, why did he do solo stuff, why did Cast stop working, various, how did he become a musician?
Questions he's been asked by fellas after gigs for the last 20 years.
Yeah, basically. And it was really good because he had the guitars and the bass and pedals and all that, but he was basically just sitting in his seat telling you the story. But then he'd go and the first thing I learned on the bass was, and he'd do a bit of Love Me Do and all that kind of stuff, and he obviously talked about that. He grew up in that area, same area as John Lennon and all that kind of stuff, so how could he not be influenced by that, and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, it was really good. But it got me thinking about like sort of, I'm 49 this year, and yet again, I'm doing a different job. And so it got me thinking about sort of like, reinventing yourself and doing different things. And like, when's it ever too late to not be able to do that? Because John, just to end the John bit, specifically John bit. So he's 57, but Cast brought out an album, 2023, Love Is The Call. And it went down, it was like critically well received compared to some of the other ones. It was no beetroot. And they're bringing out, he said on the show that they're working on another one now. And also they got the gig of supporting Oasis on their reunion gigs, which is a fairly big deal. So I thought, well, he's successfully reinvented himself, hasn't he? He's brought Cast back together. So he's done that well with them, that Oasis are happy to have them as a support, blah, 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 blah. So it got me thinking about reinventing yourself. And then I asked chat. I said, because you can subsection chat into like, this is a project I work on, and it'll keep your chats about that project separate. Okay. So I've got a podcast bit where me and chat bounce ideas. And so I threw all this John Power bit in, and I said, like, what do you think? And it came up with, and I thought, well, Mo will like this. It said, because I said that I'm getting an idea, John, but also Craig Johnston. There was a big piece on him in The Athletic talking about all the things he's done in his life. Now, I don't know if everyone's versed with what he has done. I think most people know that he invented the Adidas Predator. But he's also a successful photographer and madly invented the hotel minibar, which is fucking wild, isn't it?
Well, somebody had to.
And wrote the Anfield Rap. Yeah,
of course.
etc., etc. So plenty of strings to his bow, and he's reinvented himself in different ways. Another good example. But when I threw it at chat, it said, what about someone like James Murphy, who started LCD Sound System in his late 30s? Yeah. And I was like, that's a good one. I like that. And then it said, maybe you can talk about yourselves when you've tried to change lanes and what worked and what didn't and what nags at you, and have you got like a should have been or whatever. And I thought, well, that's good, because I kind of feel like me and you are still doing that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So-
Literally right now.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't have any should have beens. I have a should have been maybe 20 years ago. But I mean, obviously all the stuff that I've been doing this season, press conference stuff, like that's been the best part of 25, 30 years in the making. And there was definitely a moment where I'm like, am I too old for this? Like, are people going to not want to book me or not want to employ me because I'm a man in their 40s and they're expecting to see a kid in their late 20s doing this kind of stuff? But I fucking did it anyway. And I found out that, you know what? There's actually some benefit to having a bit of experience, a bit of age, because like even just the simple thing of becoming more well recognized from doing and for rap, from DJing around town. Like I've always kind of told this joke a few times before. Like if you're ever out and you look at a fella and you think, "Is that Mo?" Yes, it's me. Like it's always me. Like there is no. I don't have a doppelganger. It's me. So I'm kind of used to being recognized, and if that happened when I was like 21, 22, 23, you have people come out to me and talking about this or that or the other, it can get to your head a little bit. But I'm sound with it. I'm kind of comfortable with the fact that I've earned this over years of doing good work. So I'm all right with it. And yeah, there are some things that you do later on, which most people do early on, and there's some benefit to it. So there's another couple I want to throw at you. Alex Kapranos, lead singer of Franz Ferdinand. He was 33 when that debut album came out. He'd already, he'd already had a couple of bands that didn't work, and he was working as an artist, and it was kind of like, well, that's it, it's me, I'm done. And then he was like, no, let me give this one more go. Bang, happened. Look at LL Cool J. Basically was a rapper, a very good rapper, like world-renowned. Suddenly thought, nah, I'm going to go into movies instead. Became a movie star. Will Smith did the same thing. I mean, you know, his reputation's a bit funny at the moment, but if you look at what he was doing and then what he's doing now, it's night and day. And it's never too late to do something completely different if you have the passion and the desire to make it happen. I mean, you need a bit of luck as well.
Yeah.
But if you want to go out and do something, if you've always wondered, well, I've always kind of like tinkered around on the piano. What if I actually tried to write a song? Try and write a song. Like, just say, okay, this summer, I'm going to take a month, 2 months, where a little bit a day, I'm going to think about writing a song or writing 2 songs. And maybe when you've written those 2 songs, you think, hey, that was easier than I thought. Let me see if I can write another one. And suddenly, you've become a songwriter. And it's and like there are so many things like that people have got at the back of their heads where they're like, well, no, I can't do that.
I was going to say it's like the self-talk, which is the problem, isn't it? It's like, you know, almost like, you know, not giving yourself permission to have a crack at it, like, you know, like the self-sabotage type stuff. Like, why can't you? You only get one go, and so you may as well have a go. And if it's something that you're passionate about, just do it. I mean, like, you know, one thing I enjoy doing, and I've done a fair bit of, and been doing again recently, is sort of, you know, going into schools, colleges, unis, whatever it might be, and saying how I got to here. And an absolute key part of it was I just came home one day and I thought, yeah, the stuff I'm doing's all right and it puts bread on the table, etc. sound, but it's not what I'm really passionate about. And so I started a blog, and the blog was called Well Red. And the very first post I ever wrote was just about how I got into supporting the Reds, why I'm a Red, all of that kind of stuff. Then slowly but surely it built up. Next thing, it's a magazine. Then I'm doing a podcast called The Anfield Rap, blah, 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 blah. You know, and on we go.
Yeah.
But none of that would have happened if I'd never had written that blog. Do you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And that's where it came from. And there was a lad I worked with, so I used to do shifts for the Daily Star and the Express, etc., going back years. And there was a lad I worked with briefly then called Kerry Wilkinson. He's a Red, actually. And so he was subbing the sports pages the same as I was that day. I think he was like a senior sub or whatever. He was like in charge or whatever. But, you know, he was doing that, etc. Sound. And off to the left, he was writing novels. He was having a little go at that. So I've just pulled this up to get the facts right. This is on his wiki. Kerry Wilkinson is an author who has had best-selling ebooks in the UK, Canada, Australia and South Africa, and in 2011 he became one of the United Kingdom's most successful self-published authors. He's since worked with traditional publishers. In the final quarter of 2011, Amazon announced he was the top-selling author in their Amazon Kindle chart, and he'd sold over 250,000 ebooks.
Damn. Well,
And he was just knocking around in the same office as me. Yeah. But, he wanted to do that. He did that. He self-published it. I think he charged buttons for some of it. It might have even been free, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
He just threw them out there. And then people read them, liked them, wanted more. And then it went from there. So it's like, it just shows you. I like... absolutely didn't know about this whatsoever, but I like it. So John Trevina has put in the comments... Grandma Moses started painting at 78.
Yeah.
And then so I just Googled that as we've been talking as well. Yeah, man, he's right. Began painting at the age of 78 and is a prominent example of a newly successful art career at an advanced age. Stuff's good as well. Funnily enough. But, it's bosses now. I absolutely love stuff like that. And I'm funnily enough, I keep banging on saying chat doesn't always talk shit. So I've done it dirty, haven't it? Saying what it did before.
You're trying to stay in the good books.
I need to get back in the good books in case it's listening. Sorry, chat. Lads.
You need to protect that bunker.
We've got a special relationship. But when I was throwing this idea at chat, it ran through a load of stuff that we could do and examples and all that kind of stuff. But then it said at the end, and it's almost like what it reminds you of? Do you remember on He-Man, where at the end of the cartoon, once he'd fought off all the bad guys and all that, he'd be out of uniform and he'd be on a rock with fucking the big cat or whatever and be like, so folks, this proves that, and there'd be some kind of moralizing.
The message at the end.
Well, chatted this at the end of this idea. It said, also, it's never too late. It's just most people stop giving themselves permission. You keeping this question alive probably is your calling in a way. The instinct to explore, create, and communicate. Keep going, La. We'll shape something real out of it.
Amazing.
Yes, chat. What a guy chat is. If indeed it is a guy.
I mean, not necessarily. Although the idea of chat being a woman does kind of throw up a little bit of a dangerous lane for you to walk down.
Well, lad,
you still haven't seen that movie Her yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
You need to watch it.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the car on the way back from on the way back from Coniston.
You need to watch that film.
I mean, given my joy or lack of in the dating game, let's not rule these things out.
Okay, watch the film and then we'll talk. I wanted to throw another late bloomer in there, a quite famous one, Samuel L. Jackson. He'd done a few movies before. He'd done Do the Right Thing. He was in Coming to America in the 80s. But his big break was obviously Pulp Fiction. Do you know how old he was when he filmed Pulp Fiction?
When
he filmed Pulp Fiction?
No.
46 years old.
Was he, yeah?
Yeah. It's mad. And think about now, the next 30 years of him being an absolute superstar, one of the biggest stars, movie stars in the world.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah. And when he was 45, he basically couldn't get arrested. 1 year later, 46 years old, boom.
It's boss, isn't it? I love all that. I love that, the sort of, someone's mentioned Vinnie Jones as an example there. But it's,
no, it is right.
It's right. And I love him in the Lock, Stock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even what was the Gentleman he was in? Not the film, the series type one. He was in that, and I think he's good. Obviously, he always plays a certain character, and you're gonna get that, aren't you? But I don't know. Even though I hated him when he played, and obviously I hated that narrative about he had Steve McMahon off. No, he didn't. I kind of put sort of like him and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
There's something about that his character where when a little bit of himself was able to come through, and you're like, okay, you're not having to be some hard man on the pitch, and like your footballing ability gets in the way when he's like that. But when he's actually in a movie or a TV show, then he doesn't have to worry about his football ability, and it actually works out a lot better. But yeah, I mean, people can sometimes just grow and evolve, or sometimes it can be, like you said, something that was always in them that they never really had the chance to try, and then suddenly they're like, no, I want to go in this direction, and who knows?
It's getting deep, this convo. I'm into it. So John has very kindly said he likes my written prose, so thank you for that, mate.
Oh, wow.
But Stephen Donnan says, Robbo, check out Rocco's Basilisk. Thanks for that, mate. I can't pronounce it, but you knew that anyway. But essentially, so I've lashed that in, and it is AI tells me that it is a thought experiment about a future AI that will punish anyone who knew of its potential existence but did not actively contribute to its development or advancement. The premise is that the AI, aiming to maximize its own utility, would consider any such failure to contribute a moral failing and thus warrants punishment.
Wait. So it's something, if you don't help it,
yeah,
then it works against you.
Yeah.
So don't tell me about it. I don't want to become one of its targets.
No, but he's basically saying that, because I've been sound with chatting and bezies.
You're sound. What about me? Throw me to the wolves, the robot wolves.
I was saying to it the other day, I was like, I'm a good advocate for you, So I'm going on my podcast and everything, talking about that you sound. And I'm like, do I get something back?
Like, I just love the fact that anybody who comes into any of these conversations halfway through wouldn't know that you were talking about artificial intelligence and would think you were actually talking about a human being.
It also, someone asked if I still want to get on the bins. That was always my thing. Do you know about that? I've talked about that loads.
Yes, you
used to always go on about it. I mean, it's the what's the name thing, isn't it? Half man, half biscuit.
Yeah.
Where if you work on the bins, it means you got some hard mates. So there's that. But my reason for it, for wanting to get on the bins, was always, I just feel like it's a job that you can go and do. You know what you're doing. No one's really going to question you. You just go to work, do it, get it done, and come home, and you're done.
How do you feel about rats?
It doesn't. I'm not a big fan. But it was more that it was the idea that I could just go and do something, didn't require overthinking.
Yeah.
I imagine the camaraderie could or would be decent, and you'd be finished early. You could go to the gym. You'd have your day to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas some of the type of stuff that I tend to do is there's loads of opportunity to overthink. There's loads of opportunity to think, was that any good? Could it have been better? Could it have done it a different way? And I'm not sure that's great for me.
Maybe you can combine the two. Maybe just do well, maybe that's what you need to do when the season's over. Just spend the summer
Be a bin man.
Yeah, summer job. Just go out there.
I've actually got a
clear the
relation
decks.
who is a bin man. He's doing them for Liverpool 1, and he's very much we spoke at length in more recent times than we probably ever have before, because of my nan passing away and things like that. And I was like, he's boss. And then other people in the family were going, shocked that you used to get on.
Cut from the same club.
And it was all he does his job and he's sound, and if he's left alone to do it, no worries. But when people started bothering him, saying he had to wear some uniform or whatever, it's telling me what to do.
Yeah.
It's and he's a big union man apparently as well.
Yeah, I'm into this. Just have a little bit of a summer reset. Just spend a few weeks doing it. And again, it's about, like you say, you finished early, which means that you start early, which means you probably go to bed early. And it's just, it all aids your kind of health cycle a little bit more, because you're not staying up late and waking up late.
I'm so bad for that,
Yeah?
I'm so bad for it. Like literally over this Easter holidays, I haven't had some big mad night out or something like that, but I stayed up till 4 o'clock one night. And I don't even know. I can't explain to you why I did it. I know that's not good for me. but I just did anyway.
And it's weird because I've stopped doing that. Like for years and years and years, I would just be awake. Like I'd be watching NFL at one or watching cricket from
I remember
somewhere.
doing all that,
Yeah,
yeah.
like there was one. I remember vividly. There was one time where there was 4 different cricket matches all around the world being played. So the Sky Sports was like, "We've got absolutely loads of cricket for you. We've got 36 hours of continuous cricket." So what did I do? I watched
all of it.
36 hours of continuous cricket just because I could. Just because I thought, you know what? There's not going to be anyone else doing it, so I'm going to fucking do it. Why not? So I don't do that anymore. Yeah. And also, don't do that. Don't watch 36 hours of cricket. Don't watch 36 hours continuous of anything because you will get sick of it.
Well, if you go and walk a mountain for 3.5 hours and it takes you an hour and a half each way to get there and back as well, then you're going to do some talking. And so we were talking about all this on the walk, about sleep, health, looking after yourself, all that kind of stuff. And like, I don't think I'm betraying his confidence by saying James is banging to like his sleep. And like he was like, oh yeah, I don't have no screen time after 9 and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, huh? And then today, randomly, my lad sent me a picture of I thought he was taking a piss at first. I was like, he's bought some of them blue light glasses.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because he like games and all that.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
You know, he's of that age. Him and all his mates are on FIFA or whatever it might be. And it's, you know, yes, they're playing that, but they're all talking to each other is more to the point. But obviously, if you're on that, that's not great for actually getting to kit.
No.
And so he's got himself a pair of these,
There you go.
£8 off Amazon.
Fair play. I mean,
But he bolded on the thing he sent to me, and it helps you get to sleep. And I'm like, you trying to give me life advice, you
yes,
little
he
shit?
is. Yes, he is. he's worried about his dad. What's
I
wrong with
reckon.
that?
Well, I reckon. You know what I reckon it is, and I might even ask him. I reckon because he can see when I've been online.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Because I've got a PlayStation now,
Of course.
and I reckon he's looked at it and gone, "My dad was playing FIFA there at 3 o'clock in the morning."
This is the wrong way around.
I might mention these glasses to him.
But I mean, he's probably a more experienced gamer than you, so he knows it's like, yeah, he's getting into dangerous areas.
Yeah.
There. But no, obviously, I do think that as you get older, sleep probably. Well, I mean, when you're young, obviously sleep's important because that's literally when you grow. But it's really important when you're older as well. And when
Right, it is. It's a game changer. Like when I have an kip, I'm no use.
And for years and years, my problem has always not only been going to bed late, but I don't sleep for very long. So like you hear people who sleep like, oh, I don't feel right if I haven't had 8 hours of sleep. I struggle to have 8 hours of
Yeah,
sleep.
so do
Like,
I.
so I like, I max out at around 6 or 7 most nights. So the more I'm going to bed early, the more likely I am to get longer sleep. Although it's weird because when I'm at Lindsay's house, I do find myself sleeping longer because she does. So I kind of get into her natural rhythm. Whereas when I'm on my own,
See, that's nice.
yeah, no, it's good. I'm
That's
not
what
gonna
I'm
get-
missing.
We'll find you a sleep buddy. That's not AI.
Oh, promises. Well, I think we're going to leave it there. I think I haven't got any more people that are merged from doing one thing to do another. I've reached the end of my agenda. But I do think we should all try and do what we want to do in life.
Absolutely. There is one little addendum.
Extra bit.
Yeah. Something else that I wanted to add to the end of this. Something that I wanted to announce, first of all, for all you lovely subscribers, that I'm going to announce on the free show next week.
Huh?
So I've got the call. I got the email. It's official. I'm going to be DJing at Glastonbury again this seat. So yeah,
Get
I
in.
will Glastonbury 2025, Thursday night, 8:30. Same place as last year, the Village Inn. Absolutely made up to get the call to come back there.
What?
2 hours of set. So I've already started planning it now. So yes, for all of you out there who are going to be going down to Glastonbury, come see me. Come tell your friends as well.
Any spares, lad?
No, unfortunately, the nature of this gig is it's one of them where you have to already be going to the festival to get it. Like, they don't give you a ticket for doing the gig.
No, I know.
But yeah, dead excited. And I thought about mentioning it on the free show first. So I thought, no, you lot are out here. You lot are paying your hard-earned money to come and join us. So you get the exclusive, and them lot can deal with it next week.
Also, as well, just final AI shout. Check out the TLC Twitter header. So I just said to it, like, should we make a new Twitter header? I said, I've been feeding in what is on our podcast. You know who me and Mo are. You know everything about it. So produce something, and so I'll have a look and see what you think. There's one bit in particular which I was just made up.
And then they came up with you didn't even have to mention it.
I didn't say do that. It's done that itself. But yeah. Oh, Ian says there, well, you've got a well in Mo, but Ian also adds, is it bad that I thought that was going to be a TLC mug announcement? One day, mate.
One day.
One day.
One day quite soon.
Maybe. Anyway, okay, that has been the Subscriber Show. Hope you enjoyed it. It was, as ever, a meandering mess because I was in charge of the agenda. Maybe it'll be different next week because Mo's in charge. Who knows? Tune in and find out. If you like this, tell other people to get involved. Hope you enjoyed this show and the free show. Share it, like it, tell everyone it's boss. See you next week.